In this video, we will review the distributive property.
So the distributive property says that whenever you have a value or a variable outside the parentheses, this value or this variable will distribute through the parentheses by multiplying each of the terms inside the parentheses. So this gives us a times b plus a times c. So let's do an example here. I have -2 parentheses 7a minus 9b close parentheses. This means that the -2 is going to distribute to this first term. So I'm going to multiply -2 times that 7a. Now this -2 will also distribute to the second term. So that will give us -2 times that minus 9b. When I multiply -2 times 7, because they have different signs, I get -14, and then I bring the variable. When I multiply -2 times that minus 9, because they have the same sign, the result will be +18, and then I bring the variable. Once that -2 has distributed to both terms inside the parentheses, my result will be that minus 14a plus the 18b. And we stop here. We cannot combine these two because these two are not like terms. One has a variable of an a and the second term has a variable b. We try it again. We're going to distribute the 9 times that 3x. So this will be 9 times 3x. And then that 9 will distribute with the second term. That's 1. So that will be 9 times 1. So 9 times 3x will give me 27, bring the variable, and 9 times 1 will be 9. So that means that our result will be that 27x and the 9. Now because the 9 was positive and I want to separate it from the first term, I'm going to place that plus. And we stop because these two are not like terms. One has a variable and the other one doesn't. Let's try the last one. For this last one, we're going to do a simple trick. Whenever you have negatives without a number, we can rewrite these as a -1 times -1x, and then we write the rest. Now, the reason for doing that is to help us out when we have to distribute and we have to multiply these numbers. So the first will be this -1 times -1. Don't forget the variable. And then we're going to do the -1 times the minus 2y. So -1 times minus 2y. And then finally, we're going to do that -1 times the 3. That is -1 times that 3. Now, same sign, -1 times -1, that will be a positive 1x. You can just write it as an x. You can leave it as a 1x, but you can simplify it even further by just writing an x. If I have -1 times -2, this is the same sign, so that becomes 1 times 2 is 2. Don't forget to bring the variable. And then -1 times that positive 3, because they're opposite in sign, the result will be that minus 3. So we're going to now rewrite them together. So this will give us that x, the 2y, and the minus 3. The x and the 2y are two different terms, and the 2y is positive. I'm going to place a plus to distinguish between the x and the 2y, the second term. Now, none of these are like terms. They have different variables, and the last one doesn't have a variable. So I stop here. This is as far as I can go. Let's continue with another example of the distributive property. What do we do if there are terms in addition to those in the parentheses? So what we're going to do here is the following. Since the 2 is not inside or near the parentheses, I'm going to bring that down along with the addition. So I have the 2 and the plus. And then I'm going to deal with the parentheses. So the 5 will distribute to the 7x. So that's 5 times that 7x. And then I'm going to distribute the 5 to that minus 9. I'm going to take the sign here. That was a positive 5 with a minus 9. and we simplify. This will be 2 plus 5 times 7 is 35x. Bring down the variable. And a positive 5 times a negative 9, that will be a negative 45. Now, because we have a rule about the commutative property, we are able to commute or move around these two. So I'm going to write the 35x first and then the positive 2 and bring down the minus 45. The reason for doing that is because now I have my like terms put together here. So since I have the 35x and there's no like terms for the 35x, I bring down the 35x. According to the rules of addition, because these two have different signs, I'm going to subtract and keep the sign of the largest. In this case, this will be 43 when I subtract, and I'm going to keep the minus because that is the largest. And I stop because these two are not like terms. Let's try it again. I'm first going to distribute the negative 3 with that x. Remember, we can rewrite this as this being negative 3 times 1x. Then I move on to multiplying this negative 3 with a minus 4. So that will be a minus 3 with a minus 4. And then since these two are outside of the parentheses, I'm just going to bring them down. Let's simplify here. Negative 3 times positive 1. This will be minus 3. Don't forget to bring the variable. Then we do negative 3 and negative 4, same sign, so that will be a positive 12. And then bring down the rest, the 3x and the minus 4. Now I'm going to use the community property again to move these two around so that I can have the like terms together. So then this becomes the minus 3x and then the minus 3x plus 12 when I do the community property, and then I bring down that minus 4. Now I have like terms, these two. Same sign, I add and keep the sign, so that becomes minus 6x. These two different signs, so I subtract and keep the sign of the largest. So that's going to give me positive 8. And since these two are not like terms, this is where I stop. This will be my answer.
Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.